Hello and welcome to Wee Willy Wonderful's unicorn mane video. I've been asked a few times to do a video to show how to attach the curls. So here we are. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now this unicorn may look a little bit different from the pattern because this is a special edition of our hand dye club, which is every 2 months, and you can get a beautiful merino hand dye along with one of our patterns to make. So it's a bit of a fun club. So I'm showing you with this one, but it doesn't matter what colour or wool you're using. Principle is exactly the same. So here's our unicorn all ready for a beautiful mane. Now firstly I'm going to show you what a curl looks like when you've finished it. If you need help doing a curl, we do have a separate video, so I will put a link in the description. So it looks a little bit like that, so it's not very neat. To make it in its shape, we're just going to twizzle it. So I'm holding the end and I'm just going to twizzle, twizzle, twizzle. And it just makes it go into its curl. It's really clever. Look at that, beautiful. So there are all our others. And I've put them in order, longest down to shortest. Feel free to design your own mane, but I'll just show you the way we do it, and then you can feel free to be creative and do it your own way if you would like. So first I'm going to show you how to sew an end in. So this one is a short one which is going to go across the front of the face. So I've left one very long strand because we're going to be using that to sew all of the curls on. It's much easier than trying to use lots of individual strands from each curl. So what I've done with these is I've sewn in both of the ends. So when you cut the others off, you can just leave them about this long, about 10 centimeters, just enough to weave it in. So we've got rid of all of them and we're just going to use one. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm just going to sew in the short end. So we're just going to thread that onto a needle, like so, and then we're just going to sew it in so you can see how to do that. Just thread that on. Oops, so we've threaded that on. So we're just going to weave it in. So all that means is we're just going to sew it along the back like so. So we're just going to go through a couple of stitches, and then we're just going to go through another couple of stitches. We're just trying to make the end disappear into it. You can just cut them short, but the only thing is if they're not tight enough, they can just start to unravel. So we're just sewing it in a couple of times so that we lose the end. So just like that. And then we will trim it short with our scissors. And that makes it a lot more secure than if we just cut it off. So there's our lovely curl. If it starts unraveling, just twizzle it until we've got that lovely curl, like so. Oh, seems to have come undone. Let's give it another twizzle it round, like so, until we've got our nice curl. Yeah, so what we're going to do next is pin the curls into position, make sure we're happy with it, and then we're going to sew them on. So I'm just going to grab some pins. There's some little pins here. We've also got the big heart pins that we do have in our stall, different coloured ones. So we can use whichever you feel more comfortable with. The big pins tend to be good for holding things in place quite firmly. So they're good for limbs. The little ones are often good for little bits. So there's our unicorn. So we've made it all up apart from the curls. We've left them until last. So we're going to put a short one over the front, like so. So we're looking for it to have a lovely little curl there. So I'm just going to pop a pin there just to hold that into position. And then what we're going to do is start from the shorter curls and just pin them all down the centre down here. So there we go. So I'm going to the bit at the top, that's where we weaved in the end. So that's going to go at the top. So I'm just going to go all the way down the back and just pin them into position. So there's one. And we're just going to aim for down the centre. starting with the shortest down to the longest. But feel free to play around with them and just try them in different ways. The fun of pinning is you can just see roughly what it's going to look like before you start sewing on. So I tend to pin them down the back, and then I will leave one big one, and then I'll put that right down the middle. So we're just pinning them down like so. So the mane comes to one side like that. It does look a bit, I've tried doing them both ways, but it just doesn't seem to sit as well. So I found that works better. So we're just going to pin them all the way down. So if you want to have more curls or less, I'm just going to move that up slightly. You can have more or less, you can do them however many you want. We just do as it is in the pattern, which I believe is about 8, and it gives you how many chains to do and how to do them. There is a separate video if you want help doing a chain. Sorry, doing the curl, because it's a little bit tricky. Once you get the hang of it, they're easy. But so there we are. So I've pinned them all the way down the centre, like so. So when you look at our lovely unicorn, look at that, it's beautiful. I mean, look at the colours on this. Absolutely love this hand-dye wool. Our own rainbow, the unicorn, that is adorable, but hand-dye is just a little bit different. So I've put the long one down there just so that that'll cover up a lot of the stitching. So we'll leave that one off for now, and I'm just going to sew all of them on down here. Obviously bear in mind, if you're making them for a child, you will have to make sure they're much more firmly sewn on. For this demonstration, I'm just going to put a couple of stitches in each. But obviously, if it's for a child, make sure it's really securely sewn on. So I'm just going to thread my needle. Obviously, there's all fluff on the end, so it won't work. What I'm going to do is just cut the end so I've got a much flatter, nicer end, look. Cut the fluffy bit off. And then we're just going to thread that through. And I'm going to start with the one at the front, just going that into position, which is the one that we had over here, and the one that our strand is attached to. So we're just going to pop a couple of stitches. So we'll just keep your stitches small and neat, and we're just going to go up and down like so. So we're going to go in very close to where we come out, not right on top, so we don't want to undo it, and then come up a little bit away, and then come up again and down. So we're just going up and down, but just doing the stitches that are on the top nice and small and neat. And we're going to make sure that we go and put a stitch in every single curl, because if we miss one, as soon as we take our pins out, it'll just fall off. So let's just do a little one in each of those. There we go. So we're just making sure we're going right through the head as well, because there's no point just sewing through the curls. We've got to go right into the head, up and down. But say if you are doing this for a child, then please make sure you're doing at least half a dozen stitches in each, and then you would have to keep an eye on, make sure don't start coming out. But certainly wouldn't recommend anything that come off any child under 3 at least. It's just a bit of using common sense, but making sure it's safe. Right, so we've sewn on, I think we've got them all, but I've just literally put probably a stitch in each just to show you how it's done. And then I'm going to go up to the top, so I'm going to go through his head, through her head I think, up to the top again, like so. So we're now at the back at the top. I think what we'll do is take the pins out at this stage. The best thing to do is when you're pinning, I've missed one, when you're pinning, count them as you put them in. Now I've actually realised, look, I've missed one of them. It's a bit tricky to do when you're trying to do it looking through the camera. So we'll go back to that one, and I'll just pop a stitch in there, like so. So just keep them small and neat. Do most of your moving around underneath inside the unicorn rather than on the top. So we're going to go back up to the top again now. So we've sewn them all on. As you can see, we've got one coming over the front like so, and all the rest down the side. And then what we're going to do is put the last one just down like that. So we're going to put the top there and do it in this direction so it's just down, and then it's covering over all our sewing. So I'm going to pop that through there like so. And then we're just going to go up and down a couple of times to make sure. It's always good to come out of a hole or a gap between your stitches, and then when you go back up, go back down the same hole and come back up if you don't want to see a stitch on your work. Like that. There we go. So I've got that curl down the centre, and then to fasten off we're just going to go down there, come up further away, and then we're going to pull that taut. So pull it slightly taut, cut it near the edge, and then when you let go it'll drop back inside, so your end vanishes inside. So here we have our gorgeous unicorn. So one over the front, all the rest down there, and then she has a beautiful curl just down the back to cover everything up. So she looks like that. Look at that for a mane. Absolutely lovely. I love those colours, the pastels, it's beautiful. If you want to join our hand-dye club, have a look on our website weewoollywonderfuls.com and look under clubs. There is a section, and we have hand-dye club, and it says every 2 months, no tie-in, so you can cancel, pause it whenever you want, and every 2 months you'll receive a beautiful one of our characters made in an exclusive hand-dye yarn. Look at that, beautiful. How nice is that? I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. We are going to do another tutorial just to show you how to do the tail. So again, I'll put a link in the comments, in the description. So if you wanted to have a look how to do the tail, you can have a look at that. Thank you for watching, and it's bye from Lisa for now with the Wee Woolly Wonderfuls.